Alright, so the topic that I chose to do for my extra credit assignment is the Colonial Period. And the reason I chose this is because, as I'll show you here, some pictures. When I was growing up, my parents always took us to these old places where America was founded. I've been to Williamsburg, Virginia, Jamestown, Washington, D.C., Boston, where we saw Plymouth Rock, and all these historical sites for America. And it helped me gain a lot of appreciation for America's history and how rich it is. And I really enjoyed getting into this book because it illustrated a lot of the points from an economic standpoint that kind of have helped develop my understanding of on top of topics that we've already covered in class. So I really enjoyed digging into this a little bit. But essentially, the new immigrants were coming over from Europe to settle this new land that they thought was just going to be full of gold and full of all these promises. And when they got here, a lot of the people that showed up were gentlemen. They had never worked a day in their life. They weren't farmers, they were artisans and brewery people and stuff that they'd never actually had to work and develop a town before. They assumed they'd be able to show up to America and pick gold up off the beach. But they quickly realized that was not the case. Jamestown itself, that I've been to, is a really cool place. They really struggled to survive their first winter. Most of the people died. They were kind of in a swampy area. A lot of them got malaria and ended up dying. Barely survived the winter. And thanks to John Rolfe, who ended up becoming Pocahontas' husband, he came in and said, you know what? Stop just walking around looking for gold. We need to establish a city. We need to establish ourselves. So he helped them start building cabins and ultimately was shown by the natives how to grow tobacco. And because of that, they started to thrive. They were able to open up trade with the natives, and also back to England. They were shipping a bunch of tobacco back to England. Well, in the meantime, England was suppressing a lot of people religiously, and those who wanted religious freedom were also leaving England. And so they were coming over to the United States as pilgrims. They landed in Plymouth Rock in Boston, which was also a cool place that I've been to. And they also struggled to survive. They were a little bit more prepared than the people of Jamestown, but ultimately they needed the help of the natives. Squanto was one in particular that helped them a lot to learn how to grow crops. So all of a sudden, they had all this land that was rich and fertile. They were growing good crops, they were growing tobacco, and they had the opportunities to grow economically. They started establishing themselves and got stable enough that they wanted to start exporting their goods and open up more trade with the natives, which ultimately, economically helped them survive. But they quickly realized that they were out. They had so much land and so many resources, but they didn't have enough manpower. So they ended up going over to Africa to get slaves to help them out. And this, whether you like it or not, ended up being the backbone of America to get us established. It really helped America get on our feet economically. All of a sudden, we have all this free. Essentially, all you have to do is feed them, but it's free labor, and you could sell your goods for higher costs and have a higher profit margin. And so they started opening up these their farms and their markets to essentially a global market based off the slave work that they had, and that continued for cotton, tobacco, and crops up until the abolishment of slavery. So really, I really enjoyed that aspect of the fact that we always look at slavery as a bad thing, and it is. No one should ever have to go through that. But the fact that it was essential for America to get on its feet, it really was the economic turn point, that we had kind of reached our climax with the labor we had, and as inhumane as it was, bringing those people from Africa and other countries over for slavery really helped us establish ourselves and become the powerhouse that we are today. So again, I really enjoyed this time period, and hope that helped enlighten a little bit about kind of the economic stance of America at this time, and appreciate being in this class. I've learned a lot, and I've enjoyed what I've learned, and look forward to continuing my education at Rockhurst, and thank you again for your time.